Hi everyone, it's Brittany and Katie with the Q team in Rochester, New York. Today is part 5 of our 5-part series. Oh, obviously that wasn't planned. This week we are talking about, so last week we were looking at houses. This week we found one we want to write an offer on. What does that look like?
What do we do?
I know, what the heck?
So that can be a lot of times, we're looking at a bunch of houses and then we finally find one that we really like, and that can be a little bit scary for people. They're like, oh God, now what?
I know. And they're like, what, do I like it though? Or am I just like trying to force it? Or some people are like, I like it so much I have to have it. I don't care what it takes.
Right.
It's usually one or the other.
One of the two. So when we find one that we love, that you're like, all right, this is one that I definitely want to make an offer on. What do we do? How do we be competitive? Mm-hmm. This market is crazy. How do we get our offer to stand out? So that's where we come in.
Yep. So we've already discussed financing. We already know what our financing options are. We already know what our closing costs are. So that part of the offer is already done for us. Important things to consider when making an offer. Obviously, price tag. Yeah. We know that we're in a bit of a competitive market right now, so a little bit. So a lot of listings are still selling for over their list price. However, it's not always about money for sellers. Another thing that can make a huge difference for sellers is the timing of everything. Mm-hmm. So let's say a seller is building and they need a 3-month closing. Somebody whose lease is up in, let's call it 27 days, and they have to be out, that might not work for one or the other. Yeah. So there's a lot of pieces of the offer that are important.
Also important.
Yeah, it's not just about price.
Mm-hmm. And we know all of those things. I mean, being in the market and selling as many houses as we do on our team, we know what those pieces of the offer that are helping you stand above. If a seller's getting 10 offers, then there's going to be factors oftentimes outside of price, mm-hmm. that are going to help you stand out. So we will go through every single one of those options, every single thing that the seller is going to look at and consider, tell you what's going to be the most competitive, what our options are, and then you have to decide on your end, where do we feel comfortable? Do we feel comfortable doing this thing that's going to, maybe is a little bit on the riskier side, but it's going to make us that much stronger as a on the competitive side? Mm-hmm. Or are you more like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, I'd rather do this, knowing that it might put us at a disadvantage if someone else does it. But we kind of go through all of those, weigh the pros and the cons and the risks and all of that.
There's a million factors that can go into, a million may be extreme, but a lot of factors that go into writing an offer. But what I tried to describe to people is even if we're only up against one other offer and our price tag is the same as the other offer, I want us to stand out somewhere against mm-hmm. the other offer. So there are a few different places that I can tell my buyers, this is where we can be competitive. The good faith deposit, we can put a super strong good faith deposit.
Our contingencies or not.
Or lack thereof. Mm-hmm. Are we comfortable waiving a home inspection?
Right. Our timing, like you said, our, helping to make sure that the buyer or the seller's move out needs. Sometimes they're like, well, we'd prefer a couple days to be able to rent back so that we can move out into our new house. Mm-hmm. Do we have that flexibility to be able to give them that? And
we always find out ahead of time what the seller's situation is. Mm-hmm. So we will call before we submit our offer, before we even really sign and write it, and say what type of closing timeline do your sellers need? Are they looking for a quick close? Are they looking to close and then rent back? Are they looking for an extended close? I've had people who are giving sellers a month or more rent back for free because mm-hmm. it was just a way to be competitive. Yep. And for them, they had the flexibility of being on a month-to-month lease. So they said, you know what, for the $1,300 that it might have been, that they're like, hey, I'd rather get the house and cover that than risk losing the house of our dreams.
Yep. So I guess moral of the story is we work with you to kind of go through all of those pieces for an offer to determine what you feel comfortable with that's also going to make you the most competitive as possible, mm-hmm. because our goal is to be able to help you stand out if there is a pile of 10 offers that you're going to be going up against 9 others, and we want you to come out on top. So we know what it takes, and it's a matter of helping you figure out what your mm-hmm. strongest offer can be, and we get there, and if that one happens to not be the one, then we learn from it for the next one, and we get you home.
That's a good point, because mm-hmm. when people will sometimes get discouraged, rightfully so, mm-hmm. the first one, the third one, the fifth one, mm-hmm. But each one is a learning opportunity. So where was I short on this one? Mm-hmm. And can I make it up on the next one. And
Right.
if it's something
Or do
that
I
you
need to
absolutely
shift my expectations?
right, and I was just gonna say, if it's something that you can't make up, then you might just know that it might be a difficulty that you face with the next offer. But if it's something that can be adjusted and changed and altered in any manner, then that might be a discussion. And are we willing to alter that, or do we not want to consider that?
Right. Or do we want to shift where we're looking price point wise so that we have more room to be competitive, or all sorts of things. But we kind of walk you through those if we end up submitting a few different offers and trying to make ourselves stronger each time.
So congratulations, you just completed our 5-week series.
Woo-hoo.
You made it. So yeah, I mean, the fun really is starting once you start looking at houses. And I always warn people, it's extremely fun. It's extremely exciting. It's extremely stressful. It's not an easy process.
But we make it fun.
Yes.
Fun.
And it can be emotional, but like, I feel like if it wasn't, be like, do you want to buy a house? No, but usually it's all full of good emotions and it's exciting. But there will be stressors in it, but we're here to relieve them as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations. Those are our 5 steps. Reverse back to step 1, reach out to us to start this process. If 2022 is one of your New Year's resolutions, one of your goals for buying a house next year, we are here to help you through the process.